I wanted to talk just real quick about divination, divination, or divination. And it was a process of in astrologia or astrology and astrotheology, and also in scribing and such, and water gazing and stuff, where they would look for particular signs and try to correspond it to something that's going to happen in our reality here. And the same thing goes with numerology and stuff. Carpo made a video about that, and I was thinking about the same thing. I think that's where metaphysics and physics kind of split up, or so much of that stuff is arbitrary or just made up on a whim by people. It's really hard to prove. I've listened to hours of Manly P. Hall and all these different people that try to break it down into psychology and such, but no one's been able to prove to me that they can pinpoint exactly, from your birth date or your star chart or anything, exactly who you're going to be, the personality and the type of person you're going to be. I don't see how anybody's ever been able to prove that, and that's why hardcore science split off into away from that metaphysical principles. And I remember I have a book that talks about that, and I couldn't dig it out to find it, but it's one thing to scribe into a bowl of water, or, rub around the edges of a bowl of water and look at geometrical shapes that pop up from the somatics, and then actually to, mathematically look at that and try to maybe take a compass and draw it out, and then correlate it with biological architecture and see how it's woven into creation. That's science. It's another thing to look at it and mathematically deduce numbers and say, your city's going to burn or your crops are going to fail. I don't see how that stuff works, and I think that's one of the biggest problems. When I do numerology, and I love studying our time. Time is arbitrary to many people, and it's a wishy-washy subject, but if you look at how the ancients take time and they have woven it into biological architecture and the music's sound and frequency and all this different stuff, it makes sense to me. So when I do numerology, I like to use the Freemasonic gematria coding with the sacred number 7, where you split the alphabet and you use the T and the G as the middle cipher over the 7. Talked about it in a video I made about my favorite book, the Bible. And when you take those numbers and you deduce them down into biological architecture, or you reduce them down into nature, it's like kind of a proto-science. That makes sense to me. But to just arbitrarily make stuff up about, I gazed into this bowl of water and I'm going to predict your future, or I charted the stars and now I'm going to tell you, how to live your life. I can't buy into any of that stuff either, man. I know where you're coming from, Carpo. I don't get it. I could see how perhaps there was a science and somebody had it down to a T back in the day where it was relative, but I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I can see why there's this big split between especially in numerology. The guys that I like to study from, that study numerology, they deduce it down to, like I said, biological architecture. I can relate to that. I can actually correspond that with my music when I play my guitar and reproduce sounds and use the mathematics there. But when it comes to anything else, I don't see how it works. I had a friend, an Indian friend from India. He was a Vedic astrologer, and he swore by this stuff like it was magic. And the guy was just like a full-blown alcoholic, to be honest with you. So talking to him most of the time was very difficult. I couldn't really understand his logic. He was very smart, and he got me in a lot of ways, and we did vibe with each other in a lot of ways. But when it came to that stuff, I was just like, dude, you're completely losing me. And this guy's considers himself a guru. He's been doing it for years. But I could never buy into it. I learned a lot from him, but I could never buy into that stuff because I didn't get it, dude. And it seems like when people try to make these forecasts or even when you read your zodiac, it's so vague that it can be casted over just about anybody's life and touch on it at some point, whether something new is going to be coming into your life or you're going to have a new experience, or it's just silly. That's where it all loses me. So I just wanted to put that out there real quick. Yeah, have a great day, people. Be blessed.